Hello. I'm so glad you came to join me today so I can welcome you to the Advancement Center, where you are greeted and immediately introduced to the world of magic and miracles. Isn't that exciting? Did you happen to notice the miracle just behind me in the unfolding of a beautiful new leaf? That's very exciting. And it's happening all the time in our lives, whether or not we're even conscious of it. Magic and miracles. This is where you are shown the truth of your being here at this time. Every morning, I write in my journal, as you probably know by now. I correspond with Simeon, my dearest friend, and the twin of my husband, Robert, who resides in another realm. And the magic of it all is that I pour out what I feel, and he always answers me. So I'm going to read that to you right now. I have a closet filled with these books. And this is what I wrote this morning at 8:11. Dearest Simeon, less than 4 hours from broadcast and writing to you as always. It's my handwriting, and I don't, it's always my, oh, yes. And writing to Simeon is always my first step. Yeah. Capturing a magical life is the plan. And writing a memoir is a large task and steals so many moments in the present. So I decided speaking my memoir has taken over. Is that okay? And he immediately came back and said, Dearest Barbara, not only is that a good plan, it puts a reality of the presence of you. Enjoy each event twice and a double pleasure. All roads lead to Rome. All your roads are leading home. Welcome. We love you. Simeon. And then he wrote a PS. He said, back in 2016, a mere 8 Earth years ago, we spoke some words you might like to share today on your broadcast. They were written for you to voice. So I found my gift, and here I am to voice that gift. And, and the title I love. It's Live the Unbelievable. And it was first given June 15th, 2016. And here it is. Move forward slowly and allow the past to gently fall away as you take each stride. There is much to leave behind, but as everyone follows their spirit, there will be more and more to discover. The focus is changing, and you will not be able to see ahead at times. This can lead to confusion, but if you allow all your signals to flow freely, you will magically appear where you are supposed to be, and you will continue ahead with the perfection of a master. There is much to be said about life, but the function of living is much more important than the words. Now get on with living your life, and the smile will never leave your face. If you stop too often to put it into words, you will miss the beauty of the experience and find yourself in a fictitious world that holds little value, and find yourself with lots of words. That's true. There is no time like the present to enjoy everything and to celebrate every moment. The curtain that surrounds many of the truths in the world is now being taken down in many walks of life. Each revelation opens the way to another, and the opinions of many people are being tested in the minds of many. This activity will continue until there is nothing hidden from anyone. Now, at that time, there will be a sudden relaxation that will reveal the infinite trust that resides in everyone. The frenzy of activity will stop, and humanity will relax into a rhythm of joy and excitement that has never been felt before. Cooperation and harmony will exist everywhere, and our natural form of communication will return to the earth. At this point, many of the functions that occupy people's time will be discarded, and the beauty of the world will be a major focus in everyone's life. As you step forward in the world of magic and miracles, you can bypass everything and be at that point where cooperation and harmony fill your life. There is no need to go through any process because you are not connected to the same timeline that presents itself in the world. If you change your timeline, then the events that you now see in front of you will simply change, and you will be presented with a perfect end result without going through any process at all. The magic is at your fingertips, and it is time to exercise the skills that have been hidden for many centuries. See past the obvious consequences of everything you have in front of you and pull from nowhere. Pull a reality that recognizes, that you recognize as yours. Live that reality and make it flourish in every moment. There is nothing to stop the majesty of your being and its ability to perform miracles once you live in the reality of its existence. Experience every part of your life and don't waste time by building belief systems that will prevent the existence of the unbelievable. Live the unbelievable, and the magic will become a natural part of your everyday life. Now, as we proceed in the light of what we already know, we find ourselves lost in the familiarity of everything that is new and outside of our logical expectations. This is a growing sensation that will suddenly flip our reality to another world, one which has been hovering in clear sight for many centuries. Before we know it, there will be no recognition of how we managed in the past, and no need to know how we will manage in the future. The various aspects with which we judge our lives have already changed. And now we can look forward to something far beyond simple familiarity. This is a statement of the future that can exist right now. If you step into the field, to step into its field, it is a little like testing the temperature of the water. You can dip into it and withdraw to experience its suitability. Then make adjustments to suit your level of comfort. Once you are happy with everything, you can immerse yourself in the field and feel its enormous effect on your body and your general way of life. In this new world, with its special reality, you are in total control of the final effect on you, but you are not in control of any detail of how it works. The realization of simplicity and enormous appreciation will capture your attention, and you will generate a new way of living without conjuring one thought or determining one course of action. There is much to experience and many false diversions and interruptions that will attempt to invoke your old world. This is one of the mysteries which can be viewed at any time. But there is no need. If you continue to move forward and allow the new flow to generate as you disturb every moment and bring to life the new magic that is being presented at this time. Like the change of season, there is so much involved that it is impossible to capture the detail, but in its simplest form, it brings new life and excitement that is beyond explanation. The very universe and all that it interacts with is going through a change of season that is not based on time. It is based on events and experiences that are not necessarily sequential or relative to anything that we know, but the effect is known by each one of us in our own special and unique experiences. The world that you experience will reflect this universal change, and it will present more and more magic as the miracles flow forward and into your life. Even the world of magic and miracles is changing to reveal what is beyond your advanced sense of understanding. And all of humanity will feel the expansion of the world of their Creator as we settle into the massive flow that is taking us all to where we never expected was possible. And he signs off, your loving friend, Simeon. I read his words, and they are more than words. They are a loving embrace. Always. Thank you, Simeon. And that just summarized my life till this moment. And I have a wonderful story to share with you. A story that I enjoy in just remembering, and it's a double pleasure to share it with you. I'm going to tell you about a magical voice teacher I had, and her name was Olga Reese. Olga Reese had an amazing background. She was an opera singer, and she began the South African Opera House. where she had students, and it was well known throughout the world. And somehow her life took her to New York City and to the Metropolitan Opera House, or the Metropolitan Opera, where she was a coach. In fact, one of her students was Jenny Terrell, if you happen to know that name. Well, miracle of miracles, I somehow became her student. And I still hear her words. And even though I'm not actively singing right now, her words were truthful. And one day in particular, I showed up for my lesson, and she took me into her kitchen on West 81st Street, a block from Central Park. And she turned on the faucet. And there was the faucet with the water coming through. And then she took a knife and she, here's the faucet, the flow, and she cut through with a knife. And she said, "The flow is your voice, and the knife represents the words you sing. It does not interrupt the flow." I love that. And the moment I met Robert, he spoke about the flow. So the flow is life itself. And our experiences is the knife. But it does not interrupt the flow. And that has always stayed with me. It's probably been what urged me forward every day. So that's the story of Alger Reese. I've been wanting to share that with you for a long time. And you're going to think of many things that cannot interrupt the flow, no matter what happens. A world war, atrocities, nothing. Life continues. Well, I look back. Now I'm speaking my memoir, you know. I look back at my life and I see so many things that tried to get in the way of the flow, and the flow kept flowing. Yeah. Well, in 1972, I truly found myself as the single mother of David, who was 14, Debbie, age 11, and Danny was 9. Every day presented newness into my life. I was living, and now I see the miracle of the flow that kept flowing. So I'm going to jump a few years, and now Debbie is a senior about to graduate in the School of Architecture at Tulane University in New Orleans. One day, I received a call from Debbie that she probably would not be graduating because she had an assignment that was impossible, could not be done, and if it wasn't on display by a certain time, I think it was midnight at some date in the not too distant future, she could not graduate. I don't remember if I said these words, but I know what happened. It was time for a miracle. And they dotted my life. So I called Danny, who surprised us all by choosing the same university to go to as his big sister Debbie. And this is what happened. And it becomes and remains a miracle to this moment. Well, the first thing we did was Danny went out and purchased a Waring blender. And he brought it over to Debbie's, I guess she was in an apartment by that time. And he moved in. And he was at her beck and call for days. He knew nothing about architecture. And she just, I don't know what she did, but she just kept demanding this and that, and she needed this, and she had to go there, and he was her lifeline. Days. He called me several times, and he said, she's not eating, she's not sleeping. I told him what to put in the Waring blender. I said, make these drinks for her. Tell her she has to drink these, and then insist that she get rest. And you rest too. And I was like the offstage prompter. And it still thrills me when I realize that after days and days of his undivided attention, I forget his own schoolwork, but it was focused purely on his sister Debbie, to the point where the day of the deadline was arriving, and they drove late at night to where it had to be on display, and they got there at 1:45, and Debbie graduated. I sat there so proud of Debbie and so proud of Danny for his devotion, his love. And then, in the middle of the service, of the ceremony, he leaned over and he said, Mom, see those girls sitting at the back? They didn't make the deadline. The miracle of love and the miracle of connecting to something way beyond you. That's a story that I think we all cherish. And jump a few years, and Debbie is an extremely successful architect. Yeah. It will always be a magical story. Now I have another one. David, my son David, got a job as a radio station manager. Now we're in New York, and this was in Iron Mountain, Michigan. He was maybe 7 yards away from Canada. And his paternal grandparents were very opposed. And they said, "What do you want to go there for?" You know, they were worried something would happen to him and blah, 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 blah. And I said to David, "Okay, you told them about your job. You told them about driving there. Now I want you to call them again. And this time, put excitement, enthusiasm, and love in your conversation." And he did. And they bought him 4 new tires, a CB, and whatever else they could buy. Because David was focused on love. I mean, there are so many of these stories where I had the joy of being their mother. By the way, Olga was very, very sad when I said, "Olga, I cannot continue. I have to get a job." She said, "With a voice like yours? You can't turn your back on your voice." And I said, "But I'm a mother." So here's another little story. David came home for a visit from Iron Mountain, Michigan, and we were seeing him off at Grand Central Station. And I was with Debbie and Danny, and all of a sudden, I don't know where these miracles come from, but I said, "Danny, get on the train and travel back with David." They were ecstatic. I said, "Don't worry, I'll send you your clothes. Just go and enjoy being together." Well, I didn't know it at the time, but another miracle happened. And of course, Danny was involved. He saved David's beautiful dog, Casey, from drowning. He was home alone. He looked for Casey, and they had a rushing river, and Danny jumped in and saved Casey. And here he is. Another miracle. So this has been my memoir online. And it's been fun to share with you. It always is. I've just told you a couple of miracles. Yeah. And now I say, check out all those coincidences that were preparing you for the miracle of being alive at this time. Just follow your spirit. I did, and it led me to Mandar and Thursday night's art class. So here it is. I hope you like it. Your spirit and I wish you a perfect life with perfect health and an amazing future filled with magic and miracles. Thanks for listening. I am Barbara.